Okay, gang. Last time we were in class, and the last week we covered masking. Right now, I wanted to extend masking into covering layer blend modes, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Blend modes are ways that layers affect each other. So right here, I had started off with a picture of this firefighter. Um, we are going to do something with a blend mode. I'm going to create a duplicate of this image, and if I was in pixels, the thing would still work in the same area. And I'm going to give this a layer mask. Okay, I'm going to hit D on my keyboard. Notice my colors go to black and white, with white being on the foreground. If I hit X on the keyboard, again, that toggles between the both. Now, over here, I have the gradient tool selected. And with the gradient tool selected, I can cover a linear gradient, a radial gradient, a reflected gradient, or a diamond gradient. Um, those are just ways that the black and white would work. I think in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try just a simple radial gradient. My colors are black and white. Over on my layer mask, I'm going to click and drag out. We don't see anything really happening to the two of them. In fact, there's nothing really happening at all. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to introduce layer adjustments and blend modes. I'm going to give this a solid color different. I'm going to give it a different color, solid color. So I'm on layer 1. I just created it. I'm going to go down to this little half moon shape right here and click. And if you hover over that, it will say layer adjustment. And I'm going to go to solid color right there. And I'm going to give it like a green solid color. And so I have green solid color on top. And now I'm going to change the blend mode of this right here. I'm going to change it to hue. And now I see this color is coming through this image. So the green is coming onto this image right here. This one's as normal. Let's change this to hue 2 and see what happens. Nothing really happens. So I'm going to go back to this layer, leave it as is, and I'm going to say back to normal on the layer underneath it. So its blend mode's normal, this one's hue, and this one's normal too. And oh, I noticed it gave me the option to do a gradient. So I'm going to do a gradient on that with my black to white. Let's see what happens. Oh, so I'm going to click and delete the first layer mask I did. And let's say delete. And now we see that this solid color blend mode has some green in the center of it. Now what would happen if I inverted my colors? I'm going to invert black being my foreground color, grab my gradient tool, select my layer mask. Again, black is in the foreground, white is in the background. I'm going to click and just drag a little, just out. Oh, there's just a little bit of red. So I'm going to click and drag out just a little around him. Yeah, you can see it's red. And if I click and drag the gradient tool farther, you see that the color gets more, it's more of a gradient. If I just click and drag the gradient tool just a little, you can see it just does a very small little gradient. So that's kind of how that works. We have a color here, and so it's not really much of a dramatic change between the two of these colors. But you can get an idea of what to do. Maybe you can come up with a creative idea of how to use that. So we've covered blend modes. Now we've covered gradients, and now we're going to play around with another image. I'm going to go on and open a recent file that I had. I'm going to use this picture right here. This is fire, and notice that it is green fire, and I've turned off as originally red. And I will share this image with you in the gallery. So again, great example. Let's start from the beginning. I wanted, say for instance, I want, this time instead of using a gradient, I'm just going to paint it. I'm going to create a duplicate of that layer. Okay. I am going to create another layer, just a blank layer. I didn't click and drag at that time. I just clicked on the new layer button. I'm going to give it a solid color fill again. So I'm going to go solid color. going to select that phosphorescent green. I'm going to change its blend mode right here to hue. Hue is another name for color. Cool. So this time, instead of using the gradient tool, I'm going to just grab my brush and I'm going to select the mask and I'm going to paint around the fire. You should see some of that red kind of come back. It's pretty cool. Yep, there it is. The red's coming back, especially at the bottom. My flow's set to 18. I'm going to bump my flow up to about 68 so I can make some pretty dramatic changes here. Make it kind of sift into some green flames. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Let me create another layer. Maybe I can put a third color. Maybe I want to make some purple on the flames coming through too. And this is just playing around. We're trying to figure things out. I'm going to go to solid color again. Give it purple this time. Change its blend mode to hue. And now we see that some of that's, the whole thing's now purple. I'm going to click on the mask here. I'm going to paint this time. I'm going to see what happens if I just paint right here. Oh, you can see all the colors are coming through. So we have green and purples all coming through all at one time. And I have my softness on my brush down a lot. Notice I didn't bring the hardness up a lot. So I can do that. It's pretty cool. So we have a purple to green, and that looks pretty good. I like the way that's shaping up. Alright, so you see 3 color gradient shifts, and you see how we've done that there. Now, that is our that is what we're going to cover today, and this is just a supplement if you want to reference what I've done. Okay? Alright, signing off.